What's in your stockpile? Is it enough to feed your family should something happen and you have to bug out or bug in for days, weeks, months? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I just want to thank all my old subscribers and welcome my new subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. So now that you have some food put away in your stockpile, is it enough for your family? Is it enough if you needed to feed your family for days, weeks, months off of your stockpile? Is it enough? Only you know your situation, and everybody's situation and needs are going to be different. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on getting organized and helping you decide when it is enough that you've stockpiled for your needs. Is it enough for what you need and for the length of time you will be needing it? So let's get started. Food storage, stockpiling or prepping or whatever you want to call it. I started with this notebook. Now I'm using this notebook for something different because as my needs grew, I needed more space to document what I had, what I needed to get, and that sort of thing. So now I use this for basically just putting things like what fit into my Mylar bags, my 1 gallon Mylar bags, how much to put in, and things like that. I have some canning instructions here, how to oven sanitize the times, water sanitize, flour, oven canning, as well as butter pressure canning times. So I don't have to look it up every single time. I mean, the more you do it, the more you get used to it, but I like to have a reference that I can just go back, double check, make sure my times are right, because it's all important, especially when you're pressure canning, to make sure you have the right pressure and the right times. So that's what I'm using this book for now. I have 3 main areas where I store my long-term, short-term, and working pantry food. So that's what I have. That's the sort of areas I started here. And I was listing what I had in my 5-gallon buckets, my sugar, what was open. And this was done in my basement, which I lovingly call my cold room. And then I have a setback closet, which is in that, if you saw my where I redid that shelf, that's what I call my setback closet. And I have things like corn oil shortening. As you can see, there's not very much in here because I took it out of here, but I'll show you what I did with it, and it makes it much more easier for me. So all these blank pages I'm using for just like notes that I can just reference now. But I had the 3 areas in here, and I took all that information out and I put it into my binder. Now my binder, this is just a reference of the meals I can make or I like to make should something happen that I have the ingredients for. So I have 12 dinners that I can rotate through, 7 breakfasts, and 5 lunches. But I can make different things, but this is some of the things we like to make on a regular basis and that I have the ingredients to make in my long-term and short-term pantries. So this is my working pantry. This is the kitchen pantry. I have things like baking supplies and that sort of stuff. And then I have my sackback closet, which is the closet in my office that I keep a lot of my shorter term, and there's actually all my long-term food in there. That's where that's stored. And then I have my cold room, which is most of my home canned beans, meat, that sort of stuff. My water's kept down there. And I've also added this on the back of, this is the setback closet. And it's just like an index of what I have. So I have baking supplies, beans and grains, canned and jarred goods, not veg, condiments, drinks, herbs and spices, rice and pasta, and then finally veg, which is going to be the canned veg, not my home canned, but like you buy from the store. And then I listed everything I have there: flour, granulated sugar, powder. I was doing this last year when we were shut down. Actually, I did it this December before that because I was preparing to do a pantry challenge in that January of last year. But then when everything went awry, I will say, I didn't put the actual amounts down because we were at home and I knew we were going to be eating out of this. So I didn't put the amounts down in this book because I knew they were going to be changing. So now that everything is sort of leveled out but a bit, I'm going to go back, see what I have, see what I need to get, and then I will be putting my totals in. But there's like baking supplies and different headlines, and I did this on loose leaf so I can change it out whenever I need to. And also, it didn't cost me a whole lot. I'm not paying somebody to print off a sheet that's good. I can write on a loose leaf and be done with it. This is my home canning. So I have how many jars? These are mostly pints. And I wrote down these are the beans. And these are the ones I have down there. I know these numbers are probably off because I wasn't marking down as I use them. And then I have meats. And these are, again, home canned meats. I know this one for sure is wrong because I canned 2 turkeys over the last couple of months and I haven't added that into it. So I have to update this. But this is just a way you can get organized, and that's the main key, getting organized. People always ask me, or always asking, how do I know I have enough? Well, I'm going to 2 gallons of water are per day per person. Now, really, if you think about it, do you really need 2 gallons? Are you drinking a whole gallon of water now? Should SHTF happen, are you going to really drink a gallon of water? And do you really need to bathe with a gallon of water? I would say probably not. If you want to bathe, what about some wipes? Could probably save you a lot more. So you can actually be drinking this and not having to store this for, say, bathing or even washing, like dishes and stuff. And then in the event that happens, do you really want to be washing dishes? That's where paper plates, paper cups, napkins, all that kind of stuff come into play. And preparing for that eventuality, maybe, because who knows, even if you don't have the zombie apocalypse, you can have a storm that will knock out your power and you have to go to plan A or plan B, or in my case, sometimes plan G way down the line because the couple of plans that you had before didn't quite work out. So when is it enough? People, it's going to be different for every single family. Even if you have the same amount of family, say you have 4 per family. I'm going to go with that because that's what I know. 4 per family, 4 in your family, and say a pet, because that's our scenario. 4 in a family and a pet. Now, I know for me, say for instance, this, I love this. Maple and brown sugar oatmeal. I can have this every day of the week. So if I was stocking up, I wanted to do, say, a year's worth of this. This is 20 packets. If I ate this every day, I would need 365 packages for myself. Does that make sense? I think you can work that out. So things like rice and pasta, I would say take a week, make a list of what you use for that week for that meal. Say you use 2 cups of pasta for that meal and it lasts you for 2 days for your family. Say you use 2 or 3 cups of rice for a meal and it lasts you for 2 days for that family. So now that's 4 days taken care of. What do you eat for the rest of the week? So list everything that you eat for that week and multiply it by 52 if you want to be eating the same thing every single week. If you want to change it up, I would say, first of all, do it for a week, see what you get. Then maybe stretch it out to a month and then see what you get. Usually about a month, you're probably eating the same thing you want to eat every single month going forward. So a month is a pretty good gauge of what you need to write down for what you need to eat. And then you could multiply it by a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. So you know what you need for your family. I mean, you have, like, this is my stock up prices. This was done a while ago, and nowadays prices are probably never going to be seen again. But this is what I know that I can get my items for in my area. Like salt, for instance. Walmart was 42 cents. I know that's gone up. Now I get the Himalayan Dollar Tree for $1 for a pound. That's $3 plus in Walmart. So, for instance, this salt I know needs to be updated. So these are just prices to give you a reference of what you can get for in my area, what I was getting. Like I could get canned veg right now, 9 cents at Aldi, and then about 50 cents or so when Kroger's have their can sale. So that's what that was from. 50 cents at Kroger. I think the last time they had their sale. But you need to know what your stock up price is, things in your area, so you know you're either getting a good deal or not. Sometimes it doesn't matter and you need to get things to just have on hand, and you kind of pay more that way than to wait for a sale, because you're buying when you don't necessarily get the best price, if that makes sense. So you want to be at a point to where you get things at a good price, and you're not having to necessarily get them because you absolutely need them, because you have nothing in your pantry to feed your family should something happen. And people are finding that out with the pandemic, number one, the ice storm, and we're going into summer, and sure enough, even with wet weather, if you're not experiencing snow, hurricanes happen, tornadoes happen, things happen that you need to be prepared for. So this is my stock up list. This is a list that I had from 2015 that I wanted to get from Honeyvale. Not associated, not sponsored, none of that. But if you look at these prices, and I went on their website not too long ago, probably like a week or so ago, to look up what they were. They've been out of stock for quite a while. But I noticed things have gone up. I haven't gone into my long term because I have enough what I call short term, like a year or so out, that I can draw from in my cold room, in my working pantry. I haven't touched any of these like 30 plus years long-term storage. And I don't intend to, because should anything more serious happen that I can't get out of the house, out of my house. Not that I have had a need to, but just in case I don't, or I can't get out of my house for whatever reason. So this is a list, and you can find these all on the web. This is not my website. This is just something I printed off, and this is a 52 food storage purchasing plan. Now, they listed 52 weeks, which is a year, of things you should buy every week to make it up, where it's a year's supply of food for 2 basics, for 2 adults for a year. Now, some of these things you may eat, some of these things you may not eat. That's why I say use it as a guideline. Do what you need to do for your family. Like, you might not eat wheat, for instance, or you might have some aversion to wheat and you don't need to buy wheat. Or say, for instance, lima beans. You might not like lima beans. You don't really want to purchase them. You want to purchase, eat what you store what you eat. Store what you eat what you store. So I took this list here, and made a sort of master list from it, because they have, for instance, 30 gallons the first week, and then down further, week 11, they have another 30 gallons of water. So I put it all together. If I have, then I would go ahead and buy that, purchase that 8 pounds of oats for the same time. I know oats, 80 pounds, I'm sorry, 80 pounds of oats. I'm saying 8. I know for me, I'm going to eat more, well, for my family, we're going to eat more than that because of how I know we eat. So that's a basic reference for you. Also, I found this one. This one is slightly different. This is more like gearing to baking sort of thing. So they have a lot of baking ingredients, a lot of baking mixes that I don't really do that much. I mean, I make a lot from scratch, but they have like baking mixes, biscuits, brownies, cakes, cornmeal, and frosting. I have a little bit of that, and then they have pancakes, muffins. All of this stuff can be made from scratch. So I would rather do like the flour and the separate, so to speak. I have a couple of those, but not a lot. And they are convenient if you need them. Things like I showed you before, like just add water in those muffins. That's a great help, especially if SHTF happens and you don't have the milk or the fresh eggs or anything like that to go into these mixes because you can't get out. So this is where this came in handy. And this also shows you this is a 3-month supply, so times that by 4 and you got your year's supply. Just times everything by 4 and basically you got your year's supply of more things you need. And then she also goes into long-term like beans and dry milk and oats and potatoes and all that kind of stuff. I also have a wish list. You really need to make a list and keep organized of what you need or what you want, need, have to have, whatever the case may be. And I just wrote down everything I needed or wanted on my wish list, and then I just tick them off as I go, as I get things. And then I have some prices, so I kind of know what I need to spend or save in this case. And as I go along, I'm just checking off what I get and finish up this list. And then I have like a couple of things on the back. So make a list of what your needs are, and just make sure that you're ticking them off as you go, so you know that when you're out there in the back of their mind, you know you need this, you got that, you don't have to worry about it. And then also don't forget non-food storage items like first aid and meds. I have personal care back here, but as you can see, it's nothing on the list because I pretty much got all this stuff. But I'm just showing you personal care like body wash, toothpaste, razors, sanitary napkins, whatever the case may be, personal wipes, whatever. And I've put it all into like just like a bigger binder, because that works better for me than to use the notebook. And then at the back I just have some extra paper. That's another emergency food supply for, this one's for one adult. And it's fun to see what they have listed as opposed to the other person has listed. And it is different, I will tell you that. This one goes into explaining different suggestions, the calories, pricing, all the kind of stuff. Helps you store it as well. Great things for storage, rationing, long-term food storage advice. That's a good thing to think about. Because, say for instance, when you put this up, your kids were children and now they're teens. They're going to need a bit more, but you didn't put up more for them. If they're children, if they're babies even, you're now 10 years down the road, and that formula, that baby formula, that one that needed baby formula 10 years ago, now they need solid food. And you have to remember that. You have to not remember, but think about that and adjust your plans to accommodate your newfound now adult teen formula, or a small meal. You have to add in, say, another adult, for instance. So that's why I'm actually going through this and readjusting what I need, because as the kids get older and they start eating more, then yeah, I'm gonna need to stock more stuff. And this I found at my local town hall. They showed you ways that you can do a rain catchment. Information is out there if you look for it, and it's free if you just can take a bit of time and find what you need. Another food storage, and they do a 72-hour kit and a 3-month supply kit. And they do things like comfort foods, water and canned juices, all sorts of different things that you might not have thought of. And then I found this one on long-term storage, things like grains, pasta, yeast, milk products, all sorts of things, powdered eggs, bulk spices, all sorts of different things. So things I hadn't thought of, like different drink mixes and stuff. I prefer water, but I mean, water might get old, especially if in a high stress situation and you're under additional stress from the situation you're in. You might want to think of drink mixes, or even a powdered milk that you could turn into a milk, and maybe a way to make it chocolate milk for the kids, just to bring them a little comfort, a little relief from the stress that might be happening. And I will say, one thing I did not prepare for was being home all the time with the family and working from home and everything. We had never been in this situation that we were in for the past year or more. And it can be, I would say stressful, difficult, whatever the case may be at times, rewarding at others, but just find a space that you can decompress. That's what I know. So my family knows that when I go to the car for, say, 5-10 minutes, I'm not to be bothered. Like, you just need a space, even if it's at the end of the day when everybody's asleep. You take a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever, or stiff drink, and just relax and unwind. You have to take care of yourself in order for you to take care of your family. So get organized. All this to be said is to get organized, and if you haven't already started, you really need to start with prepping or just putting something aside. People in 2021, if you can believe it, still have not, I don't know if it's come to grips with or decided to put a little bit aside. As a young child, I guess it was ingrained in me to just put a little aside for a rainy day. So even if you start with this notebook, start with a notebook. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos.